natural world in the harsh and grueling winter days that lie ahead. At 7:15, Rossini's version of the fairy tale Cinderella, La Cenerentola. Recorded at this year's Glyndebourne Festival, it stars Kathleen Kuhlman in the title role and Lawrence Dale as her prince. At 9:50, the Queen's Christmas programme, with subtitles and sign language for the deaf and hard of hearing.
And then I'll be playing host to, well, a host of laughter, to Norman Wisdom, one of the funniest men Britain has ever produced. And out of Russia, a very funny man indeed, called Yakov Smirnov. And for song, Bertice Redding. Join me, Christmas evening, The Bob Monkhouse Show.
And to bring Christmas Day to a close, late-night comedy with the Marx Brothers in Duck Soup.
Where do you live? Well, it's not much of a place, but it's home. Meow.
Christmas Day with BBC2.
In 5 minutes, a look at some of the highlights of a year with the Old Grey Whistle Test, including David Bowie, Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, Bauhaus and Grace Jones. Well, that's after News on 2 now with Nicolas Witchell at just after 13 minutes to midnight.
Mrs. Thatcher delivers a Christmas message in Northern Ireland. She says the bombers will never win. The Prime Minister spent the day in the province. She visited troops and spoke to widows and relatives of murdered policemen. Mrs. Thatcher normally visits Northern Ireland at Christmas, but her visit today had added significance, coming just 6 days after the Harrods bombing. The Prime Minister's first stop was the market town of Newtonards, near Belfast.
This was Mrs. Thatcher's traditional Christmas trip to Northern Ireland. The visit wasn't unexpected, but the location wasn't known until half an hour before her arrival. Hidden in the crowd was Father Christmas, waiting with a special present for Mrs. Thatcher.
In advance of Christmas. Isn't that nice? He doesn't quite think he'll be able to get home from Northern Ireland to London, so he's just given me this in advance.
Hello, good morning.
I'm very kind of you. That is kind.
Security for the visit needed to be strict but flexible. Mrs. Thatcher then went to the town's police station to meet the wives and relatives of officers killed or wounded by terrorists.
Democracy is the rejection of violence, and we're never going to be defeated by bombs and bullets.
The Prime Minister then flew to Dramad Army Barracks in Armagh to meet the Grenadier Guards. Local priests claimed that visit was insensitive, as 8 UDR soldiers from there are facing murder charges. Before leaving the province, Mrs. Thatcher said she was happy to accept the Irish Prime Minister's invitation to step up cooperation in the battle against the terrorists.
And the Defence Secretary, Michael Heseltine, has paid a surprise visit to the British peacekeeping troops in the Lebanon. He flew to Cyprus and went on to Beirut by helicopter.
Easy! Stops!
Mr. Heseltine said he'd come to see the British troops to express the government's thanks for the work they were doing as part of the peacekeeping force. He told the men he was sorry they would have to spend Christmas in Beirut, but said they were doing a valuable job. The Defence Secretary was then taken onto the roof of the building, which provides a panoramic view of an area which has seen fierce fighting. In the past, the British base has frequently been caught in the crossfire. Today, all was quiet, and Mr. Heseltine didn't even need a flak jacket as he was briefed by senior officers. During his brief stay, he made it clear the government has no immediate plans to bring home the troops, despite political arguments at home.
We all understand that the Middle East is one of the most dangerous parts of the world, and I think it would be wrong for a country such as ours to turn our backs on that and hope that it will go away.
And for the troops today, another morale booster. A brewery has given them free beer for Christmas, and they're already getting in a festive mood.
Scotland Yard will tomorrow park a blue Austin 1300 outside Harrods in the hope that someone will remember the original car. 2 people killed in the Harrods bombing were buried today. 28-year-old Sergeant Noel Lane was cremated at a private ceremony in South London. Security was strict but unobtrusive. The Metropolitan Police Commissioner, Sir Kenneth Newman, and several of Sergeant Lane's colleagues from Chelsea Police Station attended. He leaves a widow. And Philip Geddes, a Daily Express journalist, was buried in his hometown in Cumbria. More than 500 people attended the funeral at Barrow-in-Furness. At the Requiem Mass, the priest said his murderers had gained the universal detestation of the people of this country. Home Secretary Leon Britton has said further changes in the way firearms are used by the Metropolitan Police are now essential. Mr. Britton would not comment on a decision by the Police Complaints Board that the officers who mistakenly shot Stephen Waldorf should not face disciplinary action. But he said changes had already been made in the issue and use of firearms. And a further police report revealed shortcomings in the selection and training of officers for firearms duties, which would now be put right. A little girl who wrote to Santa Claus asking him for a new heart has had the chance to thank him in person. He visited her in hospital today. Little Emma Pashley, who's 7, told Santa her heart was so bad she could scarcely climb the stairs. After a 5-hour operation to rebuild her heart at Liverpool Children's Hospital, Emma is doing well. So what did she say to Father Christmas today?
Lovely. Wait, well, we tell everybody you can go up and down the stairs. Now, did you...
Thank you for making my heart before Christmas.
Now, what have you asked Father Christmas for this year?
A lion.
A lion? What colour?
It's white.
Do you think you'll get it?
Yeah.
That's all from the newsroom tonight. Good night.
And here's the weather. Parts of northern Scotland may have blizzard conditions for a time tomorrow, but the snow will turn to rain, except over hills and in some of the northern isles. England and Wales, together with Northern Ireland and the southern half of Scotland, will be mild and cloudy. Rain will clear from the south during the day, but more rain will reach the south and southwest later. Temperatures will range from 6 centigrade, 43 Fahrenheit in central Scotland, to 12 centigrade, 54 Fahrenheit over southern England. Now, on to the whistle tests pick of the year, introduced by David Hepworth and Mark Ellen.
Welcome to Whistle Test Pick of the Year, which, as you can see, comes to you from the luxurious penthouse offices of the Old Grey Whistle Test. Now, that tune you've just heard, Stone Fox Chase by Area Code 615, that's the last time you're going to hear it associated with this particular programme. Because from the beginning of the next series, which starts auspiciously enough on Friday the 13th of January, we've given it the elbow, which is quite a relief to us, but not such good news to the gentleman who wrote it, Mrs. Buttrey, Haley and McCoy of Area Code 615. We're actually going to have to go out and work for a living in future.
Now, the other major revolutionary change that's being brought to bear is, I know this is going to come as a terrible shock to a lot of people, is that 2 of the words of the programme's title are to be brutally lopped off, and from now on it's going to be known solely as the Whistle Test. And in tonight's programme, we have film, video and studio performances from over the last year's programmes, featuring Neil Young, Spandau Ballet, Kate Bush, Japan, Captain Beefheart, Ultravox, Peter Gabriel, Carmel, Grace Jones, Marillion, Robert Wyatt, and indeed, in an hour and a half's time, a last opportunity to see the naked posterior of David Bowie in China Girl.
That's something few of us could refuse. But in the next half hour or so, you're going to be treated to the mighty Aztec Camera, to Bauhaus, Joni Mitchell, Eurythmics, Bow Wow Wow. But we start with a group who very definitely put their mark on the last year. With 1,000 stars, this is Big Country.